If you're looking to evoke some of that awesome 2020 GT500 styling on your 2015 and newer Mustang, then you might want to consider adding the MP Concepts GT500 style rocker splitters and winglets that we have here. Now this set of 2 splitters will install in place of your factory rocker panels and will include a splitter and winglet for both passenger and driver side for right around $200. So right off the bat, I would say these are going to make a perfect complement to standard S550 owners who may have installed or maybe thinking about installing a GT500 front end conversion, also available here on the site from MP Concepts. Now, on the other hand, these would also look pretty damn good on their own too, as many of our customers have done, shown in the customer review section, along with their customer submitted photos. As always, check those out for some detailed reviews and photos from fellow Mustang owners who have actually pulled the trigger on this part and you want to learn a little bit more. But getting back to my earlier point, these splitters were heavily inspired by the same ones found on the mighty Predator GT500. And while yes, those were designed with aero in mind primarily, these splitters from MP Concepts are going to be more of an appearance first modification. Now again, if you're not familiar with the 2020 GT500, these are designed to mount obviously in place of your factory rocker panels down low. And I will say the added extension and winglets are really going to do a great job of adding some presence to an otherwise forgotten about area. Now, as far as your build is concerned, well, both the splitters and the winglets have been made from durable injection molded ABS plastic, while the splitters have been designed and built using OEM Ford CAD data. And as a result, the fitment is completely dead on, as reflected by a lot of our customer reviews here on the site. Again, read up on some of those if you haven't already done so. Now, the splitters have been given a texture very similar to that of the GT500. It differs slightly from your standard run-of-the-mill GT or EcoBoost, which is more of a grain texture. This is more of a, I don't know, scale texture, I would call it. And again, very reminiscent of the factory splitters on those Shelby cars. Last but not least, guys, these are to be used primarily by themselves. We haven't tested them with an RTR or a Roush splitter used in conjunction. At this point, we're going to say they're not going to jive well together. So these are primarily to be used by themselves in conjunction with the winglets and the splitters that are included with the kit. Installation, at least according to the site, is going to get a middle of the road 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter and take roughly 3 hours or so to complete from start to finish. But now we want to shift gears and talk about what it takes to get these MP Concepts splitters and winglets installed on your S550 at home. And to do so, check out our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown right now.
The tools you'll need for this project are a drill, a 3/16 drill bit, a number 2 Phillips screwdriver bit, a T15 Torx bit, an assortment of trim removal tools, a pair of pliers, a couple of clamps, and possibly some rivets or some nuts and bolts. Hi everyone. Today we're installing a set of rocker side splitters on our Mustang, so let's get started with the uninstall of the stock ones first. First thing we're going to do is remove these 3 push pins here in the front fender well so that we can get access to removing all the rest of them. So you're going to need a trim removal tool to pop these out. Like so. Now there should be a screw right here that you would use a T15 Torx bit to remove. Ours happens to be missing, so we'll just move on to removing the 8 push pins that are located underneath this splitter that's already on the vehicle. So again, using your trim removal tool, you just reach in here and pop these out. Now the ones in the bottom here are pretty long, as you can see, so it may take a little bit of effort to get those pulled out. Now, just like the front, there is a screw in the back. Like I said, it's a T15, so just unscrew that. And then one last push pin right inside the fender well here. So we'll go ahead and take that one out. Now the next thing we have to do is remove this painted rocker panel piece here that goes from the rear to the front fender wells there. And simply pull that apart like so and use your soft trim removal tool to wedge it in there and pop it out. Now that all our push pins are removed, we can go ahead and start prying away the front of this splitter at the front. You may have to open up your door. Now you may need to use your soft trim removal tool to get in there along the edge and help pull that out. Once you've got this separated from the vehicle, you'll notice that there are two rivets, one on each end, holding the splitter to the side rocker panel. Those will have to be drilled out, and you'll have to source either replacement rivets or some sort of nut and bolt type of replacement to hold them back together. So let's go ahead and drill these rivets out and go ahead and continue on with the install. Now, I recommend starting off with a small drill bit, like a 1/8 inch drill bit first, and drill out the center hole. You may have to graduate up on your drill bits in order to finish the job. Now, you also may have to get a pair of pliers to hold it still while you drill it out. And you can repeat that for the other end and for the other side as well. You may need to use your trim removal tool to help separate the tabs between the two pieces. All right, now that we've got our rivets removed and our splitter and our rocker panel separated, we can go ahead and attach the rocker panel to the new splitter the same way that the old one came out. I'm just going to reconnect all the tabs into the slots. Like so. Now, to replace those rivets on the ends, you can either source some rivets from your local parts store or your hardware store, or in our case, since we're not going to make this a permanent change, we're just going to use these push pins and put them in place to hold everything together. Now, before we put this on the car, we're going to go ahead and attach this other little winglet piece here. Goes on the front, at the bottom of the splitter itself. So we're going to use a couple of clamps to hold it in place while we make sure everything's lined up correctly, and then we'll drill our holes and put our screws in. Now, you'll see on the top of this winglet that there is a line. So we're going to line that up with the edge of the splitter here and with the front here. Now, once you're satisfied with the alignment, the kit does come with supplied screws. They recommend that you put 10 in on each side. We're only going to put in just a few, just to hold it in place while we put this installed. So now we'll go ahead and put our first screw in. And remember not to tighten this too much because it is steel going into plastic. And once you've got your first one in, Before you put the second one in, double check your alignment, make sure everything's still in place. Because once you get these screws in, it's not going to want to move. Now that we've got the new splitter put together, you'll notice that there are some white clips that go in these spots right here. They did not come off when we took the rocker panel off the car. So we've got to go remove them, transfer them back over to this piece, and then we can install it on the car. So let's go take care of that, and I'll show you how to get those out. Now the kit does come with replacement clips here, just in case you do break some, which you'll notice we do have a couple that broke on ours. But you want to try and save as many of these as possible. And the best way to do that is to use your soft trim removal tool, get underneath both edges of the clip and pop it out. Now you'll notice that there are two arms on the outside of this clip, and that's what we're trying to compress with our trim removal tool. So when we put this underneath, it compresses those two arms so that they don't break and it just pops right out. So just go ahead and repeat that process for all the clips on this side, and then we'll transfer them over to the old rocker. All right, we did manage to lose a few of the clips when we took them out of the car. But like I said, they do supply some replacements, so you don't have to worry about that. So now we just take the clips, slide them into their positions on the rocker, and then we're ready to install it on the vehicle. And now we can go ahead and install our completed assembly back on the car. Now that we've got the splitter back on our car, there is one other piece that we need to take off of the original, and that's going to be this tail piece here. So we're going to use our T15 socket and get that off, and then we can put it onto the new one. Now we'll slide this onto the new one, and then you'll note that there's only one hole for one screw here. So we're going to put this one back in with the secure clamp right here, and then we'll just drill a hole and screw the screw into the other hole. Again, using our T15 socket. Now we can go and reinstall our original push pins along the bottom. Now we can go ahead and reinstall our push pins for the fender well up front. And now we'll put the final one in on the rear. And now you can repeat that whole process for the other side. And that wraps up our review and install of the MP Concepts GT500 style rocker splitters for 15 and newer GTs, EcoBoost, and V6 Mustangs. Thanks for watching, and remember, for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.